You brush your teeth every morning. You rinse. You try to do everything right. And yet, something still feels off. Your gums feel sensitive. Your breath doesn't always feel fresh, no matter how careful you are. Sometimes there's a faint discomfort you can't quite explain. You go to the dentist. They clean. They check. They tell you everything looks fine. But deep down, you know it's not. Because if everything were fine, you wouldn't feel that tightness in your gums. You wouldn't worry before getting close to someone. You wouldn't feel like your mouth is fighting against you. What if the problem isn't your teeth at all? What if the real issue is something you can't see? Something living inside your mouth right now? Here's a thought that might surprise you. What if many of the things we were taught to use every day, the habits we trust to protect our smile, are slowly destroying something essential? Not enamel, not nerves, but balance. Because your mouth isn't just a set of teeth. It's a living ecosystem, and when that ecosystem is disrupted, no amount of brushing feels like enough. Most people never hear about this. They just assume sensitivity is normal. Bleeding gums are common. Bad breath is something to hide. But what if these are not random problems? What if they're signals? And what if understanding what's really happening inside your mouth could change the way you think about oral health forever? You brush your teeth every morning. You rinse. You try to do everything right. And yet, something still feels off. Your gums feel sensitive. Your breath doesn't always feel fresh, no matter how careful you are. Sometimes there's a faint discomfort you can't quite explain. You go to the dentist. They clean. They check. They tell you everything looks fine. But deep down, you know it's not. Because if everything were fine, you wouldn't feel that tightness in your gums. You wouldn't worry before getting close to someone. You wouldn't feel like your mouth is fighting against you. What if the problem isn't your teeth at all? What if the real issue is something you can't see? Something living inside your mouth right now? Here's a thought that might surprise you. What if many of the things we were taught to use every day, the habits we trust to protect our smile, are slowly destroying something essential? Not enamel, not nerves, but balance. Because your mouth isn't just a set of teeth. It's a living ecosystem. And when that ecosystem is disrupted, no amount of brushing feels like enough. Most people never hear about this. They just assume sensitivity is normal. Bleeding gums are common. Bad breath is something to hide. But what if these are not random problems? What if they're signals? And what if understanding what's really happening inside your mouth could change the way you think about oral health forever? For many people, this doesn't start with pain. It starts with small, annoying problems that are easy to ignore. You notice your gums bleed a little when you brush. You tell yourself it's normal. You switch toothpaste. You brush more carefully. A few weeks later, it's still there. Maybe your mouth feels dry more often. Or your breath doesn't feel clean for very long, even after brushing. You chew gum. You use mouthwash. You avoid certain foods. You start paying attention in conversations. You keep a bit of distance. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you don't feel confident. Some people deal with constant sensitivity. Cold water hurts. Hot drinks feel uncomfortable. Others feel like their gums are always slightly inflamed, even though they floss and follow every rule. So they do what most responsible adults do. They go to the dentist. And usually, the answer sounds the same. Your teeth look fine. Nothing serious here. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's when the frustration begins. Because if you're doing everything right, why does your mouth still feel wrong? At some point, people stop asking questions. They assume this is just how it is. That oral discomfort is part of getting older. That bad breath is something you manage, not solve. But what almost no one explains is that these problems often don't come from neglect. They come from imbalance. And when you don't know what's out of balance, you keep trying harder and getting the same results. Here's what most people were never told. Your mouth is home to billions of bacteria. Not hundreds, not thousands, billions. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, a healthy mouth depends on having the right balance of bacteria. This community of microorganisms is called the oral microbiome. The oral microbiome plays a role in protecting your teeth and gums. Certain beneficial bacteria help control inflammation. Others help prevent harmful bacteria from overgrowing. Some even support your immune response inside the mouth. When this balance is stable, your mouth functions normally. Gums stay healthy. Breath remains neutral. Sensitivity is less likely to occur. But when that balance is disrupted, problems begin. If beneficial bacteria decrease, harmful strains can multiply. That shift can contribute to gum irritation, persistent bad breath, plaque buildup, and ongoing sensitivity. And here's something important. Many common oral care products are designed to kill bacteria broadly. They are antibacterial by design. The issue is that they often do not distinguish between harmful bacteria and beneficial bacteria. When both are reduced repeatedly, the microbiome may struggle to rebuild its natural balance. Over time, this imbalance can become chronic. Recent scientific discussions have started to shift the conversation. Instead of focusing only on eliminating bacteria, researchers are increasingly looking at how to maintain or restore microbial balance. This is why the concept of the oral microbiome has gained so much attention in recent years. It reframes oral health as a matter of equilibrium, not total sterilization. And once you understand that, a different question naturally follows. If the goal isn't to eliminate bacteria completely, then what should the goal actually be? This is where things become uncomfortable to look at. For decades, oral care has been built around one main idea: eliminate bacteria as aggressively as possible. Stronger toothpaste, more powerful mouthwash, longer rinsing, more frequent use. And on the surface, that logic makes sense. If bacteria cause problems, then killing them should solve the issue. But the oral microbiome doesn't work that way. Most antibacterial products are not selective. They don't target only harmful bacteria. They reduce bacteria across the board. That means every time you use them, beneficial bacteria are reduced as well. At first, your mouth tries to recover. But when this happens daily, sometimes multiple times a day, rebuilding balance becomes harder. This may explain why many people feel stuck. They brush more carefully, they rinse more often, they spend more money on oral products. Yet sensitivity continues. Gum irritation comes back. Breath freshness doesn't last. It's not because they're careless. It's not because they lack discipline. It's because the strategy itself may be incomplete. Another issue is that modern life adds extra pressure to this balance. Stress, diet, medications, dehydration, and even breathing through the mouth can all affect the oral environment. So instead of recovering, the microbiome stays in a weakened state. And when that happens, the mouth becomes more reactive. Small irritations feel bigger. Minor issues become recurring problems. This is why simply doing more doesn't always lead to better results. At some point, the question stops being, how do I kill more bacteria? And becomes, how do I support balance instead of constantly disrupting it? Once you understand that balance matters, the approach to oral health changes. Instead of asking, how to eliminate bacteria completely, the focus shifts to how to support a healthy environment inside the mouth. In recent years, researchers have been studying how certain beneficial bacteria contribute to oral stability. These bacteria don't clean teeth directly. They don't whiten enamel. What they do is help regulate the ecosystem. Some strains are associated with healthier gums. Others help control inflammation or limit the growth of harmful bacteria by competing for space and resources. This has led to growing interest in oral probiotics, not as a replacement for brushing or dental care, but as a way to support microbial balance alongside basic hygiene. The idea is simple. If beneficial bacteria play a role in protecting the mouth, then supporting their presence may help reduce recurring issues over time. This doesn't mean results are instant. It doesn't mean every problem disappears. And it doesn't work the same way for everyone. But it represents a different strategy. Instead of constantly stripping the mouth of bacteria and hoping it recovers, this approach aims to help rebuild what may have been lost. This perspective also explains why some people feel improvement when they stop overusing aggressive products or switch to gentler routines. They're not doing less, they're allowing balance to return. At this point, many people begin looking for ways to support their oral microbiome intentionally, not through force, but through consistency and support. And that's where things start to become interesting. After learning more about the oral microbiome, I started looking into what was actually available. Not products that promise miracles, not quick fixes, but options designed specifically to support balance inside the mouth. That's when I came across oral probiotics formulated for dental and gum health. What stood out to me was the idea behind them, not the marketing. Instead of trying to kill bacteria, these formulas focus on introducing beneficial strains that are commonly associated with a healthier oral environment. One product I looked into contains a blend of probiotics that are meant to work directly in the mouth, rather than passing quickly through the digestive system. It includes strains that have been studied for their role in supporting gum health, helping manage inflammation, and contributing to a more stable oral microbiome. It's not positioned as a replacement for brushing or dental visits, and it doesn't claim to cure anything. The goal is simply support. Support for balance. Support for consistency. Support for people who feel like they've been doing everything right, but still experience recurring issues. What I appreciated most was that this approach aligns with the science behind the oral microbiome. It works with the body instead of constantly working against it. Of course, this kind of option isn't for everyone, and results can vary depending on habits, health, and lifestyle. But for people who want to, explore a different strategy, one focused on rebuilding rather than stripping away. It can be worth looking into. If this perspective makes sense to you, and you're curious about supporting your oral microbiome instead of just fighting bacteria every day, you can look into it for yourself. I left a link in the comments where you can read more about the specific formula I mentioned, see the ingredient breakdown, and review the research behind it. Don't take my word for it. Look at the information. See if the approach aligns with what you're looking for. Oral health isn't about quick fixes. It's about consistency and balance over time. And sometimes the first step isn't doing more. It's doing something different.